to the Wisdom with Wiebke podcast, where I interview different people about their definition and relationship with spirituality, to give you a glimpse of the unique ways of how to live and integrate spirituality in your life. Welcome, Maureen Hewitt, on today's podcast episode. I am so glad to finally have you on here. And we speak all the time. We have been speaking so many times already because I worked for you. I look up towards you because you're a real role model for me. And that's why I'm extra excited to have you on today's podcast episode. And for the people who do not know Maureen Hewitt yet, she is a master coach and also the academic director from Positive Success Group. But I know that you are the best in knowing yourself. So please introduce yourself to the listeners.
Thank you. Yes, my given name is Maureen. I have been on this earth for a long time, so I've had many roles. And I love when people introduce me and point to the roles that I'm currently in. But I have been around long enough to have roles in relationships that are really important to me. I'm a parent of 3 amazing children. I have an amazing partner. I have amazing connections with the people around me that I am able to show up as a whole person in. Wiebke, you are one of them. As you said, we've known each other for quite a number of years now. So my work takes me into a place that's very connected to who I am in those important relationships. It allows me to be the founder of a business that I set up over 22 years ago, and I'm involved in educating people on how to tune into themselves more, how to manage themselves better, how to manage their environment, their relationships better, and ultimately be more of themselves every day in the best way possible. So I am a human system that loves connecting to other human systems.
Thank you so much for introducing you so well. I couldn't have done it better. And yeah, so during our talks, which we would have after class or in between, we would sometimes talk about spirituality as well. It would just be natural, come natural to us. So that's why I also thought it would be so great to have that on the podcast or have you here and just talk fluently with you about that and what's the relationship for you as well, because I know you're very wise in that space and you have been curating that wisdom over years now in your coaching, but also as a business person. And I think I'm just going to start again with my favorite question, as in, what does spirituality mean to you? How would you define it for yourself?
Yeah, I think that is such a big question, right? I think, and I would love to be able to speak about spirituality from the place that I do define it, which is my own feeling about it, my own connection to it, my own understanding of it. And I grew up in a family that was very religious. So my first education of spirituality was connected to religion. And so I believed spirituality belonged somewhere else and that you had to work hard to belong in that place. And as I grew up and grew through those different roles that I mentioned, I realized actually the spirit of me is mine. It's all mine. I'm responsible for it. It is a divine gift that was given to me by just showing up on the earth. And so I have a responsibility to manage and mind and nurture and protect. But I think the spirit of who I am is already knowing. And I think this is where the parallels of spirituality really show up in the work I do, in the life I live. It's tapping into other people's wisdom and knowledge about what they already know. And I think when you're tapping into the spirit of who you are, defining the spirit of who I am is connecting to who I already know I am, not just from a brain thinking it through capacity, but an unknown, connected, integrated source of wisdom from many years passed down, many years that of people around me and through me and how I experiencing them. So spirit for me is a very integrated, wise energy that is all-knowing. The challenge I have is tapping into that all-knowing and not letting another part of my system direct me or distract me or make the spirit of who I am a complicated, socialized being. But I was thinking about today's podcast and I was thinking about the word spirit and spirituality and how much I hear it and how many different definitions can be true of it. I don't think there's any one truth of it. I think we can all have our own definition of it. And in the workplace, we talk about team spirit, the spirit of work. And if you look online, it's very much about a performance of spirit. And I don't feel it's a performance of spirit. I think it's an energy connection to the spirit of who you are, this all-knowing space that if we are present enough and connected enough, and we've done the work enough, that it helps us through this life. Not to do the hard stuff, but maybe to manage the hard stuff in an easier way. So I see it as an integrated energy source that is unique to me and is all knowing about me, and is also connected to everything around me, and helps me connect better to all the systems around me. That sounded like a very long definition.
That was a wonderful definition. I haven't heard it that way before, and I really resonate with that you say everyone has their own definition. That's the whole podcast, what it's about, really, that I want to show. Everyone has their own definition, and it doesn't matter how you define it or how you relate to it. It's unique to you, and it has to be true to you and work for you as well. So I love that it feels very integrated already, I can tell. And I know as well, because I talked to you so many times. And yeah, the energy you transmit, it all feels very integrated, feels very aligned a lot of times. So yeah, it's great for others to hear that now as well. I love that. And I really liked how you related to the business kind of part of it, and the spirit part there, because it's very relevant. Everyone's there as a human showing up, and they all are a spirit in itself. So what do you think, or have you maybe thought about that, how to integrate that there as well a bit more? Because I know you work a lot with CEOs and in team environments as well, and like very high positioned teams as well. So have you noticed something, how to integrate the spirit there, or like maybe spirituality even? Is it even possible? What would you say?
Yeah, I think it's our work, to be honest. I think it's definitely my purpose is to help people free themselves into their own energy and not feel consumed to conform and comply with the energy of the workplace. I think we have, and I spend a lot of time I have the privilege of being in many different workplaces and understanding organizational psychology and the psychology of the workplace and how we show up. But there has in the past, through the 40s and 50s specifically, been an emphasis on performance in the workplace, perform in the workplace, and performance reviews and performance analysis, and everything is about KPIs. And that's really important that we plug in and perform. But I think in performing, we've forced people to conform to a type of energy they need to be in the workplace. And by doing that, we've shaved off the edges of the real energy source that people have, the real sense of the spirit of who they are. And we are just now, I think, waking up, and it is the work that I do, to allow people wake up to who they are. You can be more of who you are in the workplace if your workplace is a healthy environment, if it's aligned to allowing your energy in and grow. That synergy, lots of energies together, allow for a much better performance. But it is a mindset shift. It is a shift away from what people know to be success is performance. And we're saying, of course we want performance, but you deliver performance through people. So let's look at the people's performance and their energy. And that is very much how I reshaped my business back in 2015, 2016, to really show up how the neuroscience, the science of human energy, can show up in the workplace in a really healthy, regulated way. And that how you can be experienced can be a regulated energy that actually brings more performance, instead of scaring people or forcing people to comply or having a sense of fear hang over them. There's a great book by Peter Brown called The Fearless Organization. And it's to try and create the spirit of energy of everybody can come to work. Everybody can come to work in a place and be themselves, being in the energy of who they are, and it actually works better while doing work, in a uniform way and adhering to really high standards. So in the workplace, the teams I work with, and why I choose to work and have the privilege to work with CEOs and very senior leaders, is I believe it does cascade from the top down. I believe there is a responsibility, if you are a leader, to lead, regulate the energy in your team, in your organization, all the way through your culture out to your organizations. And what's brilliant, Vipka, and I know I've spoken to you about this, why I get excited about the hard work of that, is that there are amazing businesses that do see this and do feel this. I think there's a view of the corporate world being this hard-edged steel building with, suited people. And that's some of it, and I like those places too. But ultimately, behind those steel doors are real people with the same challenges of managing their energy and who they are, trying to do their best, and trying to free up their own teams to be more of who they are. So I think the spirit of work, sometimes you can feel it in a culture, in an organization. As soon as you walk in, you go, oh my God, can I align to this? Can I connect to this? There's a feeling here. There's a vibration, a frequency of this energy that my all-knowing system already knows this isn't for me, or my all-knowing system already knows, yeah, I could work with this. And it's making sure that we are in workplaces putting out clear, honest, genuine, truthful signals of it's okay to be a human system in our working system. And in fact, if we align those, it's a really healthy place to be. And teams not only seek it out as kind of an answer now to what's missing, but they understand it and they recognize it and they're willing to do the work on it. That's where I see the difference. So the teams I work with, the CEOs I work with, senior directors, it's not a one-off, hello, let me help you understand this. It's let's get in and do the work where the transformation of freeing up your energy in a regulated way can lead that regulated energy through everything you do in your business and cascade it down. And that is really releasing the spirit of who we are in that energy. But as well, there's a book we do on the course I run, and I know you know this. Dr. Daniel Siegel, and who I've done lots of interviews with, and you've seen those recordings, has this name that he calls that energy share called the MWE space, MWE, which is it's me in this space, but it's a we space. So it's a collective energy share space. So whether we like it or not, we are sharing the spirit of our energy all the time. We're transmitting and receiving signals of it. So I think in the workplace, recognizing that it is a shared space. It's not, you can't direct that space to be a particular way. We show up with different energy every day. We show up with different things impacting our energy every day. So in the workplace, what we look to do is get the humans to be responsible for the energy they lead with, and to be present enough to recognize and observe this is good energy for performance, this is good energy for our connections, this is good energy for our people, but not just go, this is a form we need to fill in and we need to quickly tick a box and get a KPI checked. So the work and the spirituality side in the workplace is definitely that energy regulation for sure.
Thank you. And I really resonated with when you said before it was pretty much only KPIs, and we looked at that because we couldn't measure it, and then we could see is there an improvement or a decrease or whatever. And now people waking up, as you say, it's not just that. It's not, we cannot just keep track of the KPIs and that will bring us the success for the company or for the people as well. It's more so people resign because of the energy and not because they didn't get paid well or they haven't achieved their targets or whatever, right? It's more so they want to bring their energy. They don't really know how. So I love that you equip them with that and also show the leaders how to regulate their energy and how to show up authentically in their energy, that they then create that, you always say, psychological safety for everyone, that they can then bring themselves to the work in a regulated energy as well, leading from that. So yeah, really, I love your work. Obviously, I'm a fan, and I really think that there will be a shift soon. And I also think it's fascinating that you already saw that 2015, because I think now people wake up more to it and they see all this yeah, neuroscience, like science keeping up now with the presence which was already there, and the spirituality has been there forever, or the stoicism or whatever you want to call it, right? And now more and more science keeps up with it and shows us, oh, actually it is great to be present as a coach, because
Yeah.
then it leads to more transformative coaching or transformation in the client. But you've already picked up on that 2015, so which is
Yeah.
amazing. And then how, like what was that initial trigger, maybe let's call it that way. What
Yeah.
triggered you to go into that area and be one of the early adapters of that?
Great question, and thank you for pointing out. I do see myself as a person that's an early adapter of a lot of things around transformation. I just have senses open to this could be really transformative. And I actually remember exactly where I was and when I thought, wow, this is a game changer to have this knowledge. And it was when I was doing my qualification in neuroscience with the professor that I mentioned. Um, and he was talking, and I was in a room. I probably said this to you already, Viveka, but it was so like awakening for me. We were in a room, and there was about 20 of us, all very interested in this topic because it was fairly new in terms of an academic qualification and an understanding of it. So I was really excited on the data, because I love data. And I was listening, and my system was just really plugged in. Wow, this offers us a whole new control of this system that we're on, like a whole dashboard, a control center, really easy access to how to regulate our nervous system and how that impacts other people. So I was caught up in this whirlwind of aligning, connecting, and the way you're looking for an answer to something, and then oh, that's the like, oh my goodness, this answers a lot of my questions. This is great, brilliant. But the real trigger for me was the people in the room who fought it, who said, no, there isn't enough research for this yet. We haven't seen all the data yet. We don't see is it fitting in. And they would not allow the information in. And they were of a particular profession. And I could see their resistance was they would have to change their thinking in order to allow this information. They would have to reset how they presented themselves, how they sold themselves, what they were connected to. And I thought, well, there it is. I mean, it is just playing out so beautifully. You're given something that allows you transform. You're given answers that says, let go of this old thinking and move into new thinking, and you will evolve and you will shape and you will have more of who you are. The challenge is to accept that you have to let go of the old thinking. You have to do the work and sit and go, oh my God, did I really think like that? Was that really me? So there's that awareness that has to be super high. There has to be an agreement in self that this is the work I need, and I'm willing to be uncertain about the outcome, but I absolutely am aware that this is the path I need to go. And the trigger was, and here is a group of people that are highly qualified. I mean, much more highly qualified than I was in terms of their academic collective, diplomas, qualification, whatever they have. And they weren't willing to do the work. They just could not accept this transformation element. And in that moment, I thought, I have to bring this awareness to people to bridge that resistance between I need to stay where I am, this is my comfort, this is my success, and this is the other side of it where I can really tap into my potential. I can get into this emerge space. Dr. Dan Siegel calls it the sea of possibilities, because I just saw these people that were constrained. It was like they put the spirit of who they are in a box and got a degree and thought, this is who I am. They had defined the spirit of who they are through their academic work, not through who they were as people. They weren't allowing themselves just explore this. So the trigger for me was, this feels so right. This feels so freeing. And I can see it right in front of me, the resistance to it. My work is to go and help people through that resistance, find ways of bridging it easier. And that's when and I know we were the first course to put neuroscience, and still are leading that way in the neuroscience and the courses we run and the coaching we do and the leadership we do, because we've spent all these years, 9-10 years now, really working hard at all the evidence-based information, getting that to people in a much simpler way and going, hey, look, here's an fMRI, here's an actual medical technical image of what happens in our system when we think this way, when we manage our state, when we manage our nervous system. Look how free the energy is when we do this. So I absolutely remember it was a no going back day, because I was hearing it, I was understanding it, I was totally relating to it. The door was completely open for me. And I looked around waiting for everybody else to be as excited about this. And they were like, no, we're staying where we are because this is, and I'm like, come on over here. Look how good this feels. Like, this is where we emerge. And they're like, no, we'll stay over here. And there has been, you're right, it's only now. I mean, I see stuff coming out all the time about, neuroscience and how it's the answer to understanding who we are and freeing up our energy. And isn't this great? And isn't this new? And I'm like, I'm really happy people are seeing it. I don't care if it in 10 years' time is new to someone. I'm more caring of access to it and finding really simple ways of enabling people tap into that same feeling of integrating who they are through neuroscience. And coaching is, for me, the best way to do this. But it has to have that understanding, that real embedded, ingrained work done by the coaches. And we're still developing that. Every time we run our course, we've got new information about how to do it better. And we have years, nearly a decade of wisdom on that now. And then people like yourself in the team, and what you bring in and what you add in, and the work you've done with Eckhart Tolle, and the work you've done in your business psychology, and the work you do and who you are, that all adds in to how we shape it and change it. So I do actually remember where I was facing in that room and that dawning of what? Okay.
Thank you for bringing us into that room with you. And I think what's fascinating is that there were so many people around you who were kind of blocked. I just use that word now, even you didn't say it that way, but you pointed also out people are just they're not that aware, then they're not open to having to change their thinking. So what if I'm maybe not that open yet? Is there some way to have that shift anyway? Or how would you go about that if you meet another person and you really want to help them, but you kind of sense this probably, oh, maybe they're not there yet, or if they would be more open to change their thinking, how would you handle that? Is there any way to handle it, or is it kind of like, well, maybe someday they will be open for it?
Yeah, I think we all have experience of trying too hard, so trying to change people. If you're more like us, you'll be happy and you'll be free. Like, no, you can't do that. That's not what it's about. But you're right. There is a time, there's a readiness, I think, and that's what makes us unique in defining our spirituality. It has its own path, it has its own route. It takes its own route to the same place. We're all in the same date and time, but we all have taken different routes to get here, whatever age and stage we're at. And there is a readiness. There's an invitation. I think we invite ourselves into this work based on what we've experienced in our past. And in my life, I've definitely lived and been with people that, have been beside me, but just never wanted to do the work, just were not ready, and go off and do other things rather than do the work. So there is, no matter how many doors we open for people and go, come in, look, it's lovely and bright in here, people have to open their own door. But I think what we can do to help with that is we can show who we are in how we are in everyday, how we deal with the hard stuff, right? How we deal with being let down, how we deal with betrayal, how we deal in hard conversations, how we deal in hard relationships, how we deal with just the hardship of life. And it is hard. And we show them how we do that and stay well and stay healthy and stay true to ourselves and do it definitely living through our values. And there are many times we will have people open doors for us to say, if you come over here, I'll help you with the retribution. I'll help you get them back. I'll help you do this, like they should. And you hear that noise. And it's whatever you're drawn to, I think, helps you define that path. I'm not drawn to people that want retribution or that want, to get back at people. I'm drawn to people that can see it, are aware of it, understand it, and are willing to do the work so it doesn't impact them the same in the future. So working on your values, working on your beliefs, working on your boundaries is work we can do with anybody, but you have to be ready to do it. So I think what I notice in my life is people say, how did you do that? Like, you're so wise around that. And I'm like, that's not a book I read. I wish it was that easy. That is, standing in a doorway at a point in my life and going, okay, do I go back to where they are and meet them where they're at, and try and get them to change? Or do I step in the doorway and go, I'm going forward, and I'm going to find a better way of being me in this, in all the things that happen around me. And it is work. And, I say to you all the time, are you willing to do the work? Are we doing the work? This is the work. But it is the most fulfilling work. I think when I hear people who want to change job and they're looking to, what's my purpose? And I want to find the right career for me and the career I love. And I'm like, just do the work on you. You are the most important job you will ever have. You're the most important leader in that job. You're the CEO of you. So do the work on you first. And when you get that work done well, the other things around you, the projects, the work, the relationships work so much better. So going back to your question, around people, the more work you do on self, the easier it is to get a read of whether the other person is ready or not, or how they're open. Most people, I find at this point in my life, come in. They come into the space. They come in and go, can you help me with this? I'm just wondering if you had a bit of time to listen to this, or I need some help with this. And the people I go to are exactly in the same place. It's they have an ability to be aware that there's work to be done. Self-awareness is the key in this, but you cannot force self-awareness on other people. Like, that's an oxymoron, right? I'm going to help you to be more no, self-awareness is an inside job. So never try and force it. Don't try and convert. Don't try and promise you'll change anybody. I think it's facilitating change and transformation. And a lot of it comes through the role modeling, the work, the shadow we cast, and the ability to do that connection on a real, honest, quiet space. And, we talk, and I know you're an expert in this too, on being present. And for me, one of the models, we work in on our course is space. And there's a piece about the source and presencing. I love that word, presencing. And I was describing it and defining it again to a group of students last night. It's not about being present, it's presencing, which is being present and sensing at the same time. So, I think some people have a definition, like you're asking me, what's your definition of spirituality? People are asked, how do you become present? And I hear people say, well, it's about shutting out, and it's quietening down, and it's removing, and it's taking out. It's a lot of taking out and removing, and, nearly becoming one and alone. But I see being present as happening when people are around me, when there's noise around me, and I'm present in me, but I'm sensing the world and the environment around me. I'm sensing how it's impacting me, and I'm making choices all the time from the all-knowing spirit of who I am, of how to react, how to respond, what to let in. And it's not even a conscious process now. The work you do does that work under the surface for you. It helps you move and shape towards and away from people, towards and away from projects, towards and away from jobs you might want to take on. But it also, really importantly, forces you towards the things that are good for you. Take the dog for a walk, go out and go to the beach, sit and stare at some trees and squirrels for a while, spend time with people you love, listen to the music you love, go to a concert you love. So it's not only about managing the hard stuff, it also enables you move towards the really good stuff. So I think that piece is really important.
Yes. Thank you for adding that piece at the end of how it is for you to be present and how you feel that. Like, I remember when Eckhart says something about he didn't talk about it as in coaching, but more so if you're the teacher of presence, then the student will, when the student comes and asks those questions, and as you said, they come and be like, hey, how did you do that, right? Then it's when the teacher or the coach kind of arrives and gets there, as in kind of transforms to be that coach for them and to give over that wisdom or to challenge them or to coach them or whatever it is and share that presence. But then also he said, try and be present and be, but then also
Yes.
sense the other. So it's not just me being super hyper present, 100%, but it might be more like and I know percentage is various, but might be 80% on me just being present, and then I still have the 20% for my surrounding of sensing them and their energy and being impacted in this kind of loop you also always talk about. We are in this loop connected with them, with their energy. So I love when you said like how you described your presencing, because that really aligns with how Eckhart would describe it as well as what would work for him. And I see it as well in just it's easy, I think, to just meditate and be 100% present. And even then, probably will like 90%. So there are some thoughts, right? But then moving around is oftentimes hard for me or also for others I talk to, in like moving around in the city, let's say. It doesn't always have to be talking to a client or a student, and staying present then as well. So yeah, I love that. I love how you described that. And is there any tip you could give someone in reaching this, being able to, because you said it's not conscious anymore, it's kind of the work is enabling you to do that. Sorry, my voice.
It's okay.
My voice isn't that present yet. And so yeah, the awareness, but then also it's not that the conscious decision of, oh, I'm present now and I reserve 20% for outer space. So is there any tip or trick you could give someone that may want to achieve that as well?
Yeah, I think, and it's funny because we were just using this language this week with other groups of people that I was working with, and um, Richard Bandler, I love metaphors and I love language. I'm always designing words and statements, but some of the best ones are from other people. And Richard Bandler, who's one of the founders of NLP, I did my NLP training with him in 2003. Oh my goodness. And he used the term, the first time he used it, I was like, what? And he talks about being in your own trousers. And I thought that was a really unusual statement. But what he meant about is mind your own business, right? Stay in your own business. And that's that 80%. And I think what happens is, and again, we know from the psychology, the work that I do is very multidisciplinary connected, which means it has lots of different elements in. It has psychology and sports and mathematics and science. It has lots in. But in the space of connecting and understanding ourselves and being in our own trousers, it really is very much about getting connected. And coaching does work brilliantly for this, but so does reflection. Reflection work helps with this enormously. And it's who am I? Where is my energy going? Is it going to others or is it going to self? And we built specifically a model in our course to help with this, which is the disconnection from child to adult allows us move from others, focusing on others because others feed us, others serve us, others mind us, others, are responsible for us as children, to taking ownership. So, we built the owns model to go, in theory, as you're going from child to adult, there should be an evolution of us being responsible for ourselves, feeling that actually I'm responsible for looking at myself, being in my own trousers, taking care of the values I want to operate with, managing, answering decisions based on who I am and what's good for me and the people around me. But that piece of work, that evolutionary piece of work, often gets missed because of school or holidays and whatever. So the tip is to identify how to stay in your own trousers, how to connect to who you are, and starting with a value system is the very first starting point. What are my values? What are the values that will be important to how I direct my energy source out into the world, how I want to be experienced, how I want to experience others? And that sets up your filters, it sets up your boundaries, and it sets up this lovely, calm confidence about that 80%. And when you've got that from being in my own trousers, these are the values that I operate with, and these are the values I'm going to honor. And values, we know, directly show up in life as energy. So, you know, you and I are in a very trusting relationship. We've been in that for a very long time, so we trust each other hugely. But if you're in a relationship with a new person and you're trying to figure out, is this trust, is this, you know, is this not trust? When you know yourself and you know trust is incredibly important to you, and it's not to the other person, then you already have a decision, all-knowing decision made that actually I can be friends with this person, but I'm not going to be intimately connected to them and share my most private information with them. So doing your values first is the material that creates your own trousers. It helps you stay in your own trousers. So if someone is doing work that's not trusting and doesn't have any integrity, and, you know, take stuff from other people and calls it their own, whatever there is, you know, no tolerance for that. Whatever it is they're doing, that's their business. You don't have to get inside their trousers and try and figure out why did they do that. That consumes us. Asking us why they did that. Being in your own trousers allows you to stay in your own business, stay true to the spirit of who you are, and really honor that energy source and not give it away to places that don't value it or don't mind it or manage it or serve it well. So build, knit, sew, create your own trousers through your value system. Live with those in play and practice the work that takes. And then what happens is you're able to be in that stronger, wiser 80% present more often, and that's sensing around you to make those decisions how you are in the world much more. And when you work at that well, it becomes easier to be in front of people, you know, and hold space for many people. And that's why I like doing the teamwork and the, you know, the big room work with senior directors and leaders. Is, you know, how do you do that with all? Because my 80% is really rooted and grounded and calm and confident, and the rest has the ability to sense many people, but my 80% is really grounded. And that's working on my trousers all the time. And sometimes, you know, you have to fix them and tailor them and maybe buy some new trousers after things change. But it is that value starting with staying in your own business, doing the work to change from child to adult, knowing that, yes, we can connect to people and they are an amazing source to us. We need them. We are social engagement system, but we have to take responsibility for ourselves first and learn how to do that. And coaching is brilliant for that.
I'm very happy about the trouser analogy.
Have you
When
heard
you
it
were
before?
No, never. But I was thinking of having trousers which like maybe have a hole or so. And you know, when you were a kid, you just put a badge on it and like a
Yes.
star which was glittery.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put some stars in there. No, I love that analogy, and I resonate with that. And yeah, I feel it with you. So I was curious how you would kind of share that wisdom to others of how they could achieve that as well. And I could listen to your wisdom forever. And you know, we can talk forever.
Yeah, we've done it.
So,
We've done it.
because it is very like rich insights you always share and have. And I'm just time sensitive here for our listeners to get everything they are wanting to hear from you. So maybe do you have something you are happy to share, as in like maybe upcoming projects or something you're kind of excited about to finish this episode off?
I'm excited for any human system that wakes up to a point where they want to know more about themselves. They want to be in their own trousers more. And the projects that I'm involved that help that, as I know you know, because you help us on that and work with us on that, are the coaching programs that, for me, are the highest value. The coaching with neuroscience programs that we run regularly. And why I reached for those is that, and you know this, people, that self-work is done as part of that course, right? It's so purposeful that the projects we run in the qualifications on becoming a coach with neuroscience, whether it's certificate or practitioner or advanced, allows humans come in at any level, do this work we talk about to manage their own trousers, but it also enables them to work with others to help them get inside their own trousers. So for me, I'm always excited about being able to provide work that adds value to ourselves and adds value to other people, that then ripples and cascades out to others. So my projects are always ongoing in the coaching space, that helps people know themselves more, figure themselves out more, take ownership for who they are, and then create space, a safe space for others to do the same. So it's always our courses. Look to our website, look to the courses we run, and jump in. Coaching, find a coach with neuroscience. Find someone that has the wisdom and the space that they can hold while you find your wisdom with clarity. Yeah, I could run a course now. You see, because once I get into it, I'm
Yes,
like, oh
please
my God, I'm
do.
so excited. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but that's what I love
Wherever I
about you.
used to.
Your passion about what you do, and it's infectious. So,
Thank you.
and also seeing the students being on the courses and the change process they're going through, like the transformational
Yeah,
process, it's amazing. So yeah, for everyone, I'm gonna put it like the website and all kinds of links and how to reach Maureen on LinkedIn as well. I put it on the podcast at the end, so you can have a look there. And for now, maybe there will be another podcast, who knows? You have so much to share, and I love that. Thank you so much for taking your time
you.
today.
I
And
loved it. Thank you. I love when we get together. And again, what I love is
yes,
that we have this very open, trusting, creative, safe space just to talk about any topic in any way. And your questions are incredibly enriching and valuable, and how you hold and listen to my answers and thread that through. So thank you for being so present with me in directing that.
thank you. And I'm so grateful for having you here, or have you had here, my English. And thank you, and be well, and we will see us soon.
Great.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode today. If you know a friend or someone who might benefit from this as well, please do share it. And always feel free to rate my podcast with a 5-star review. Stay awesome and be well. Thank you.